the shadow of Fuji-san, Mount Fuji is the historic Fuji Speedway, built in the 1960s and has been part of the Japanese racing firmament ever since. We're here for the penultimate race in the FIA World Endurance Championship, round 7 of 8. From here, there remains only the 8 Hours of Bahrain to sort out any championship titles that are still to be won. And it is possible that here in Fuji, we could see the first ever LMGT3 title wrapped up in the World Endurance Championship. But before all of that, we head into qualifying and hyperpole. Our two categories, LMGT3, the cars that look like road supercars, and hypercar, the cars that look like somebody sat down and designed their dream car with a piece of paper and a pencil. They will go out separately. In the LMGT3 category, each car must have at least one bronze-rated driver. And that driver, or one of those drivers, if they have more than one, will be the one who must qualify. So in most cases, it is the gentleman driver, like Claudio Schiavone here, in the yellow number 60 Iron Lynx Lamborghini, who will go out and do the qualifying. And they are predominantly the guys who either, like Claudio, runs the team or produces a lot of the finance, as you'll see here in the Ford 77 garage. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me in the commentary booth is world champion Anthony Davidson and Graham Goodwin. And Anthony, the chance for the drivers, the gentleman drivers particularly, to compete against their peers when this was introduced was really warmly received by all of them.
It's a great opportunity as well for the, I'd say, non-professional drivers to really feel the car at its best. It never gets any better than brand new tyres, low fuel in the tanks, and the circuit pretty much all to your own without those pesky hypercars buzzing around you. They're out there. We split the categories for qualifying in the World Endurance Championship, and it's a great moment for these drivers to feel the machine, like I say, when it's at its best. And don't forget, we do have female drivers out there as well, and it will be the bronze-rated drivers again in the Iron Dames car.
Well, round 7 of 8, we're the furthest east on the calendar, and for a lot of our viewers, that means either late nights or early mornings, or conceivably both. But this is one of the strong points of the championship is the visit to Japan. Of course, it is a track that's not only home turf in terms of the country for Toyota Gazoo Racing, but Toyota owns the circuit physically as well. So this is really home territory for them. And of course, for their sister brand, Lexus, who are competing here in LMGT3, Graham.
Indeed, and one of the cooling solutions there aboard a cooling vest, gel that will have been refrigerated and holds that cold air. It is super hot here again. We had a blisteringly warm race meeting, gentlemen, at Cota just a couple of weeks ago, and this is the closest race to another WEC race at different circuits we've ever had in the decade and more of the FIA World Endurance Championship, and to have 2 of them with these kind of level of race conditions, pretty punishing for everybody, including, of course, Bruce Schwani is on pit lane.
You'd have to say the drivers will be the most conditioned for these conditions because of Cota 2 weeks ago, but it doesn't make it really that much easier. If we take a look in more detail around this circuit, Fuji Speedway, 4.5 kilometers long, clockwise circuit, 2.8 miles, 16 corners. We're going to take a look at turn 1 first, a vital corner to get right in qualifying. A good overtaking corner opportunity lies ahead for tomorrow's race, but in qualifying, you have to get that one right. They've modified the curb on the exit as well for good measure. We had that break up in free practice 3. Next corner we'll look at is turn 6. A real important corner. It's influential for your lap time. It's a winding corner on the exit. They call it a hairpin. It's not quite a hairpin though. This is more of a hairpin down at turn 10. A very tight right-hander, which you have to compromise the exit of to help open up the next left-hander that follows, and then it's full throttle round turn 12 before turn 13. That final sector, oh so tricky on this circuit. It's a track where the car never really feels that nice to drive. It's quite low grip. The car does move around. You'll see the GT cars particularly really with the rear moving around through that final sector because of what happens in the middle sector. Higher speed corners lie in front of you in turn 3, turn 4, and that's where you do the damage in terms of the heat build-up of the tyre. You arrive in the final sector, you've got no grip left, and you're hanging on. So it's going to be fascinating to see now how these bronze-rated drivers tackle these cold tyres going on. Only ambient conditions, not allowed tyre blankets in the World Endurance Championship anymore. So we'll see them slowly getting up to temperature, despite the hot conditions. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take some confidence as well from those drivers. We've seen it all year long. A very tough track to master.
It is, of course, the debut in the World Endurance Championship here at Fuji for the LMGT3 class, and a wide variety of levels of experience amongst the teams, amongst the manufacturers who've got cars here, some of which have and some of which haven't raced in domestic competition here in Japan, and of course amongst the drivers too. And I think we might see some swings in form here, gentlemen. You know, particularly we had a quick look there at the Lexus on pit lane. There's plenty of data available for Akodis ASP from the partner teams from Lexus. And I've seen a couple of the Super GT teams around in the paddock, I'm sure, helping out with data as to what might happen here this weekend.
And it's a good point you raised there, Graham. It is a circuit where local knowledge can really come into play. So let's see if that unfolds here with some of our Japanese drivers that we have on the grid.
Yeah, Hiroshi Koizumi, watch out for him in the number 82 TF Sport Corvette. That's the one with the black nose and a yellow centre section. And he will definitely be a guy who's going to be looking to try and produce the results here. Crucially, you can see at pit exit Yasser Shaheen. Now, there are the two Corvettes. So 81 with a black centre section and predominantly yellow, 82 predominantly black with a yellow centre section. So a photo negative of each other, if you like. But it's the orange and black Porsche at the very front of the queue that is second in the championship, and right behind is the Manthey Pure Racing car that leads the championship. And again, that title, the LMGT3 Driver's Crown, could be tied up here.
There's the two VistaJets, of course, Ferraris. They've not had a great season so far. We can look quickly here at the tyre choices. There isn't really a tyre choice for the LMGT3s at this point. It is the medium for dry weather. There is a wet available, of course. Let's hope we don't see rain this weekend. Looks at the moment as if we may see the medium plus only next season at this stage.
Yeah.
Thomas Fleur there for the 54 car, getting a bit of a cooling dousing of water. Let's hope it's water. But before they climb aboard.
The idea there, of course, is to, you know, the reason your body sweats, perspires, is to try and cool itself. So you don't want to waste the energy from your body trying to do that. You might as well, if you're going to get wet anyway.
Let's start wet.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, if it is a damp, like a damp towel on your head when you're hot, a damp race suit, your underwear on the surface of your skin, it does help to cool. And they're only going to be in there for, well, 12 minutes and then 10 minutes if they get through into hyperpole. So it's not a long stint.
Pulling up on qualifying, just a quick shot there of the 31 WRT car. You can see that in the background with the WRT mechanic with the
1 minute to the
overalls.
start of the LMGT3 qualifying session. Under 1 minute.
It'll be Darren Young to start that car, and a moment to just be with Darren for a moment as part of the sports car racing family. Lost his father between Cota and this race, and I know it's been a tough time for him and his family. We're with you, pal, this weekend. Difficult to be away from home.
Cars are slightly lighter in terms of fuel to this morning, so it's around 10 kilos lighter, which will help. And you know, the scores are out, prep, and then we can start to push. Probably the tires will not be 100% in lap 1. We're looking for lap 2 and 3. We have 5 laps, 5 push, and that's the score.
So that in turn, what that's going to do, 10 kilos
Pit
lighter.
exit is green. Pit exit is open.
So
this is the start of the LMGT3 qualifying session.
So what that's going to do for the driver, you're going to feel the car. You can feel even 10 kilograms of difference, and it will give you round about a tenth to a tenth and a half of a second advantage in lap time. So not a huge amount, of course, but it's you'll take it nevertheless. And like I said before, this is where the car's going to feel its best. From this point through to the end of the weekend, it's a very different story when it comes to race day, and a great opportunity for all of these drivers to give it everything, try and get themselves vitally through to that hyperpole session. The top 10 go through in this session right now. 10-point
scoring cars will go through, potentially. But it's not about pole position, these 12-minute session. Interestingly there, gentlemen, the two Montai cars, which are towards pit out. They're the only two cars in the annex pits at the end of pit lane here, in the full Fuji pit lane, and they switch positions to put the 92 with Alex Malikin ahead of Yasser Shaheen. He is the championship leader. They are two entirely different squads, of course, but I've no doubt there will be a conversation about just how to play out this session and the race to follow tomorrow.
And for all of these cars on cold tyres, Anthony, this is as crucial a lap as the actual qualifying lap itself, because this outlap and the second lap to build heat into the tyres and brakes, if you haven't done that correctly, then your qualifying lap is already partially ruined.
The last thing that a driver wants going out on cold tyres is to flat spot them by braking too late when the tyre's not quite ready, and you're going to carry that with you the whole way through the rest of the session. Sometimes if it's so bad, you might even need to change tyres or not even take part in the rest of qualifying. So the drivers know that, they're familiar now. Here we are, you know, with the penultimate round of the championship. They know the drill by now, but still a very difficult circuit to monitor and manage your braking. It is really quite a difficult track in terms of the braking energy that's going through those four wheels and ultimately four tyres that are in contact at all times of the track. You daren't make any mistake at this stage. And a spin as well can flat spot all four of your tyres, and it can happen most of the time when the tyres are at their coldest. So in a way, the bronze drivers with the least experience of driving in their whole car crew have it the hardest in qualifying when you're on four stone cold tyres.
The other slight side to that coin is, of course, the bronze driver always qualifies, whereas in hypercar, it's not always the same driver that qualifies. So these guys, this is the 7th time they're doing this season, so they have started to learn that process, even if it was totally alien to them in the beginning. But you're right, they're not pro drivers, and so, you know, the learning experience might be slightly differently paced.
And my learning experience, of course, with LMGT3, as it's the first year, I've forgotten completely that they've got ABS. So the chance of flat spotting a tyre is pretty much completely eradicated. It can still happen, but yeah, the spin is more the negative if you're carrying too much speed into the corner. But what you're going to see here probably unfold, the driver getting up to speed, nursing the tyres up to temperature, so you're not going to see fancy lap times on the board straight away. That will most likely come halfway through this session with 8.5 minutes remaining now.
A couple of things to note compared to free practice 3 is that the track is now 10 degrees warmer than it was the last time they were on it. So it's now up to 42.6, not 36 degrees of track temperature. There is a little bit more cloud cover coming over, so that will change fairly quickly the overall track temperature. Riding on board with Thomas Floor.
It's quite nice, actually, what he did there in the final corner. You see, you prepare your lap here. It's a long run before you get to the timing line, which still hasn't happened. It's the first line that you come, there it is. So the first line you come across, that's where your timing will begin or end. And so a long run out of the final, but you want to get up to Vmax, terminal velocity, as quickly as possible. So he took a really long, late entry into the corner to maximize his exit. That was nicely done. It's something you only really see in qualifying.
So Thomas Fleur and Francois out there in the two Ferraris. They have not scored a podium this season. It's quite astonishing, really. Of our 18 cars, they're one of, I think, only 2 marks we've not seen on the podium, and we'll be looking to make that right. He was, of course, a winner here last time out, Thomas Fleur, in the final year of GTE AM. So it's a circuit he knows how to perform well at. Last time, of course, at Cota, suffered that clutch failure on the way to the grid, which rather ruined their day, and it has been a bit like that all season for them. This is our Le Mans winning crew, the number 91 Montai EMA car, Yasser Shaheen, the Aussie driver aboard that, with the branding of the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia, family-owned concern.
Third fastest so far, behind James Cottingham in the United Autosports McLaren, but Ian James, winner in Cota and poleman in Cota, pops to the top of the times. Now, this may not yet be a really full-blooded qualifying run. That might just be a slightly warmer, hot tyre run. So this is where the serious lap should start. Only 6 minutes remaining. This is a real hurry-up. There's no recovery. There's just no chance to make a mistake and come back from it. Unless you pit at the end of your first warm-up lap for new tyres, then you're not going to get a chance to do it.
Well, you talked a little while ago about James Cottingham. Josh Cagle has gone to the top of the times with Sarah Bovey just edging backwards. Those United Autosports McLarens through the season have been building pace and building the effort of that team. It's been sort of an opposite trajectory from what we've seen the Ferraris. It's just exactly what can be done with those two 720S LMGT3s.
Well, that was Francois Heriot there kicking up the dirt, and as you'll see on the timing tower on the left-hand side, the top 10 drivers go through to hyperpole. So if you are anywhere below about 5th position, you are probably in trouble, and the top 10 at the moment are covered by 1.066 seconds. And in free practice 2, we had 16 of our 18 cars covered by 1 second. So this is very tight indeed.
Alex Malikin gets into the top 10 with that lap, but he's barely there. And in the time it's taken you to make that point, that gap from 1st to 10th has closed by 0.2 of a second. It's now under 0.9 of a second.
I was surprised by that lap from Alex Malikin, championship leader in that car crew. Usually he's phenomenally fast in qualifying, but to only just scrape or be scraping through right now, I think he's just been dropped back to P11. So I'm not sure what happened on that lap, but I'm surprised to see him only with that lap pop into the midway up the charts.
Top of the times at the moment, by the way, is the Corvette, our first pole setter in LMGT3 in Qatar. As Thomas Floor crosses the line, has he improved? He has.
No, he stays 7th in 54.
Tom van Rompuy in the 81 Corvette, quickest at the moment, 4 minutes to go. And this is about the time when we should be seeing the optimum times emerging.
On board with Hiroshi Koizumi in the 80 TF Sport car, 1500s up in the first sector, still 1600s up in the second sector. And into the closing stages. This is all first gear, second gear. Look at the gear quadrant indicator. You barely get into third, even in a hypercar, until you're in the final corner.
Well, we saw that last sector for Thomas Floor. It wasn't that brilliant. I don't know what happened in that final sector, but you can lose or gain so much lap time there. You're in those corners for a long time. They're slow speed corners, very technical part of the track. So something went wrong for Thomas Floor on that last lap that he did. Let's see if he can improve next time around, as the lap times are changing all the time.
Koizumi up from 12th to 6th, and that's bumped out one of the Lexus, the 87 car, and 78 is on the bubble. And Alex Malikin still unable to improve. Right behind him, Yasser Shaheen. So Manthey Pure Racing, Manthey EMA. That's 2 quick laps they've had. They probably haven't got much left in the tank in terms of tyre life.
You're saying, by the way, earlier in the session about where local knowledge can pay dividends here. Hiroshi Koizumi, a relatively inexperienced driver on the international scene, but very experienced in the national scene in Japan as a gentleman driver. 6th place is a great result at this point in the session.
Right, both Manthey cars are now really going for it. The United car 59, James Cottingham, right at the bottom in the drop zone. 78 just moved ahead of him on the last lap, but this is going to be like old-fashioned qualifying. The last man across the line may well set the fastest time. 55 Ferrari has gone to the top. Malikin looking like he's losing time, but you don't have to be fastest, you only have to be in the 10.
He's not losing time, it's just that goalpost has been moved by Heriot's time that he's just put in. It's a 1:40.932, the first lap under 1:41, almost 2/10 up on Tom van Rompuy, and an excellent lap from Francois Heriot in that 55 Ferrari.
Yeah, we saw both Ferraris top the time sheets, of course, in FP3, and just waiting to see how Thomas Floor gets on. He's down there in P8 at the moment, but the 2 Porsches, it looks at the moment like they are struggling. Let's see as they come up to they've done the final sector on that home straight to the timing line. What's it going to be this time around?
Yeah, timing line's a long way past. That's where it is, just before the second bridge, the start-finish line. So you get about a kilometre almost of the straight, 3/4 of a kilometre, and they're still not there, are they? No improvement.
Well, it's improved in time again, but not position. It's under a minute and a half. Is this too late for the Porsches? Hiroshi Kazumi, by the way, great lap again. 4th place now.
Yeah.
So both Corvettes in the top 4 in this session. Remember, it's not about pole position, it's about hyperpole. Who's not in there? Takeshi Kimura, the other local driver, is not in the top 10 at the moment. In fact, then the D-Station racing car, that car, a locally based car with lots and lots of data to build upon. Clement Mathieu, he's not in there either. Then both of the Porsches, Darren Leung improving through the session in the WRT car, but it's a second off. I just can't understand where that's gone from. It's the second BMW as well in 16th, then Christian Reed and Claudio Schiavone.
Well, you say they're a second off. They're not. They're over 3/10, but less than 4/10 out of the top 10, which
Correct.
is where they need to be. So 59, this is James Cottingham, still just about hanging on in the top 10, but you can see the tyres are giving up, really sliding through those low-speed corners, and this is where there's no aero to help you. It's all about mechanical grip, and these cars, I mean, it's a McLaren road car, it's a supercar. Of course it's got more power than grip.
Improved time from Armand O'Harty, but still outside the top 10. Here comes Malik, and he's not going to make it. This is the checkered flag.
Yeah. Unbelievable, wasn't it? Really, I mean, a car that's been, and he's been consistent, but consistently that second away from the fastest time and not making it through to that vital top 10 to have a shot at the that hyperpole is I wouldn't have put money on that.
And this is the first time that car has missed hyperpole, and the 91 car, that missed hyperpole in the a couple of times, in fact, but has been through in 4 of our previous 6 races. So what about Darren Leung? Well, it's been a tough time mentally and personally for him and the family. Really tough indeed, but WRT are really struggling here. Both of their LMGT3 BMWs are struggling, and both of their hypercar BMWs are struggling. So a team that really looked strong at various points. They were 1-2 in Imola, don't forget, in appalling weather conditions because of some remarkable strategy where they never at any stage took wet weather tyres in the storm of Imola. But yeah, they are struggling here, and Yasser Shaheen just shakes his head. You saw Richie Leitz watching on from the garage. You know, the pro drivers do all they can to help their bronze-rated teammates, but once you're in the garage watching, Anthony, you're helpless. And well, qualifying is one thing, racing is another, but neither of the Manthey cars got through, neither Team WRT BMW.
No, obviously, yeah, it goes without saying, 6-hour race tomorrow, and a lot always happens and usually happens around this circuit, being a difficult track, but you always prefer to have the car naturally being a bit faster in qualifying. It usually bodes well, therefore, for the race, but it doesn't always pan out that way. You can engineer the car on this circuit to be a bit more forgiving on the front end to help protect the rears, and you don't quite have the qualifying performance, therefore you can lock that in. But it's yeah, we'll see how their race pace unfolds tomorrow, but I'd say at the moment all signs point towards it not being there.
Just looking at Harry Tinknell, who's rejoined the team again in Proton competitions at Mustangs, and they've had a sort of split result. The 88 car didn't go through. That was only 17th in the hands of team boss Christian Reed, the most experienced GT driver in the entire field, in fact the most experienced driver in world endurance history. Alex Malikian walks away, he didn't get through. The 77 Mustang did get through, so Ryan Hardwick is in. And for the first time this year, both Corvettes have made it through.
Absolutely. It is that is, if you like, the biggest headline for any of these factories this afternoon.
Yeah.
It is the first time we've seen both Corvettes. Needs to be said, by the way, excellent qualifying from Hiroshi Kazumi on to finish 4th in that session.
Really good stuff. And United Autosports got both McLarens through into hyperpole as well. So That's really strong performance from them. The Lamborghini of the Iron Dames did get through. Claudio Schiavone in the Iron Lynx Lamborghini did not. So the top 10 go through into not a 12-minute session, but a 10-minute session. And from 11th on down, that's the GT3 grid. But from the top 10, we will find our top 10 positions in a moment or two. Down in the pit lane is Bruce Giuani. He's with Alex Malikin.
Alex, is a bit of a disappointing qualifying session. How do you still feel? Do you still feel confident for the race, and how do you explain this?
Hard to say something about race. We will find out only tomorrow. I'm happy with my laps. I don't feel that I can be quicker than this time, maybe a little bit. But so this is a place what we have for today. So I cannot be disappointed because I feel like I did maximum, to be honest. It's our pace for quali. We will do double job to prepare to race and to gain a lot of points. So good circuit.
Okay, thank you very much and good luck then for tomorrow.
Thank you.
So Alex Malikin there, this is where we are, this is what we've got, you know, and that's motor racing. Sometimes your car really responds well to the circuit, sometimes less so, and sometimes the driver lineup is like that as well. Graham.
And sometimes success balance can play a part. Remember, part of this process of keeping this this nice and neat and tidy for a season is that there is success balance both for the championship leader and in terms of the results you scored in the last two races. And the net result of that for the 92 car is they're carrying a massive 40 kilos here. Amongst the others that are carrying ballast, the Heart of Racing 25 kilos there, 5 kilos for the 31 Team WRT car. That didn't make it through. And Monza EMA on 15 kilos and just 5 kilos for the number 95 McLaren, but it's 40 kilos and that will have made a difference.
And that's only unique to the LMGT3
Correct.
category, of course, not hypercar.
That is absolutely right.
Both Ferraris, both Corvettes have got through, both McLarens are through as well. Ian James, pole sitter in Cota, he is through in the Heart of Racing Aston Martin. Ryan Hardwick, the 77 Proton Competition Mustang, has got through as well. And Sarah Bovey, along with Arnaud Robin in the Acodis ASP 78 Lexus. So 10 cars, 10 minutes, top 10 positions on the grid will be sorted out here. And there is one Brucey bonus point for pole position. Does it matter? Today it doesn't matter. But at the end of the championship, it might literally make the difference between sitting there waiting for the first place people to collect their trophy and being the first place people who collect their trophy. So every single point all season does count.
It does indeed, and the other thing that counts here is the confidence that comes with a great qualifying performance, particularly here, because the boost we've seen in the history of this championship, once we started to introduce the bronze drivers into the qualifying sessions, we heard from all of them up and down the paddock just how much of a boost of their confidence it gave them to be, as you said at the start of the show, to be out there with the track at its optimum, with the car at its optimum, which is not something we would normally get.
Under 1 minute to the start of the LMGT3 Hyperpole qualifying session. Under 1 minute.
Hamed, a difficult qualifying session. How is the balance of the car? What are the issues that you're finding, and how does it look like for tomorrow for you?
Yeah, you know, we always want to get into the hyperpole, but unfortunately we don't have what it takes to get there at the moment. The actual balance of the car is not too bad. Me in the car thinking that's a good lap, but unfortunately our competitors are too quick. And P12, it's a step forward from Cota. We know we can race as much as we can in terms the team does an amazing job with strategy, and my other teammates, Vali and Maxime, always do a great job. So I think it's a long 6 hours. As you can see, it's very humid and hot. So we're just looking at one position at a time, hopefully, for tomorrow's race.
Okay, good luck for them.
Thank you very much.
It's always a frustration when you feel like you've done a good job in the car, when the car feels good to drive, and the lap times aren't there, it's the most frustrating thing, because you have nothing to work on. All you can say to your team is, well, I need more power and I need more grip, and that's nothing. It just doesn't magic out of thin air. It's not like you're chasing an inherent problem, a balance problem in the car. It's a real head scratcher, and actually it's the worst problem to have.
Cars out of the pit lane for hyperpole in LMGT3. 10 cars, 10 minutes, top 10 positions on the grid, and the point for pole as we get to the crucial part of the season where opportunities for success remain very limited indeed. This is going to be a big test for all the bronze drivers in our cars. So, who is going to come out here? Will we have a brand new pole sitter in the LMGT3 category for the season?
It's 7 of the original 9 makes make it through into hyperpole. 4 single representatives of their brand. They're coming from the heart of racing with Aston Martin. It is the prototype competition number 77 Ford Mustang. It's the 78 Codis ASP Lexus on home ground, remember, for the car at least, and the Iron Dames 85 Lamborghini. But then both Vista AF Corsa Porsches, both United Autosports McLarens, and both TF Sport Corvettes.
With the exception of Le Mans, which was not a regular C team from the WEC that claimed pole position, that was the Inception race in McLaren. So far, we have had 1 pole for Corvette's Tom van Rompuy. We have had 1 pole for Aston Martin's Ian James. And everybody else who's been on pole has done it once, except for this lady. Sarah Bovey is the only 2-time pole sitter this season. So she will put herself out of reach of anybody else if she claims pole here, and she's got a good shot. It might, though, be the heart of racing, but this might be the time that Ferrari really hits a sweet spot. They've looked strong in free practice, they looked strong in qualifying. Have they got that extreme edge of speed, Anthony?
Here we go, riding on board, heart of racing car with Ian James at the wheel through turn 4. It tightens a little bit in turn 5. You grab a bit of extra tarmac on the right-hand side, and he fights the car momentarily, calm it all down, or try to, before turn 6, one of the corners we looked at on the track map, of course, and you wind it out of that corner through turn 7 here, up and over the crest, full throttle, down the hill now through turn 8, straight line the braking for turn 10, bring the car over to the left-hand side, pinch this corner turn 10 on the exit to maximise this corner here, turn 11, straight line over the curb in turn 12, up the hill, through turn 13, feed the car in, keep a check on what the rear tyres are doing as you pick up the throttle, and then you continue to climb through this left-hander into the penultimate corner. And look at this for a tricky corner. Off camber on the exit, the car wants to fall away from you. Don't let it, keep it in check. Through that final corner you go, and onto the main straight.
And this is his out lap, this is his heating the tyres lap. He was really hustling the car along nicely. And the format here is going to be slightly different because the car was already hot, the brakes were hot, everything was hot apart from the tyre. So what? Well, the heat in the brakes transfers into the rims and helps to build the heat in the tyre, and the driver's already got himself into that rhythm. So I imagine that after 1 warming up lap, they might be looking at a push lap. It might still be 2, but it might have a slightly different feel to the way that the first part of qualifying was. And of course, even less traffic.
Even less traffic, and the circuit's better as well. The more new tyres that are going on, the track continues to rubber in more and more, so the lap time should continue to tumble. And yeah, everything is more in its operating window, and you can include the driver in that as well.
And don't forget, if you want to see a bit more of this, you will do in about 12 days from now. Full access from Fuji will be out. Right now, after the session finishes before tomorrow's race, you can catch up with what happened a fortnight ago in Austin in the full access, which just dropped this morning, last night, or yesterday, depending on where you are.
Will add, by the way, who's just shifted to the heart of racing car from the Vista Jet AF Corsa Ferrari, rather than the VistaJet Porsche, which apparently I said at the top of this session.
Also, it's Vista. Not VistaJet.
Vista F.
Yeah, there you go. So we're correcting ourselves left, right, and centre. Let's take a look at Ian James. 1900 top on his previous best lap, which was top of the pile. 3/10 up in Sector 2. Sector 3 is the life sapper. It just destroys you and your tyres, but this should put him top of the pile to start with. 1:41.397 was his previous lap. He's got a purple in Sector 2. The fastest Sector 1 is Arnaud Robin, who was actually the slowest of the warm-up laps. And Ian James doesn't improve on the time set by James Cottingham, who is 0.08 of a second quicker. Here's Josh Cahill in the second of the United McLarens, and he goes to the top of the pile.
Yeah, it's a 1-2 now for the McLarens. It was James Cottingham leapfrog by about 2/10 at that point. Arnaud Robin goes third as we speak, but it's a great lap from Josh Cahill. It's a 1:41.120, 0.173 ahead of his teammates.
Yeah, the two McLarens really coming good at this stage, and dare I say, a little bit of a surprise. I thought this was going to boil down to the two Ferraris, at least one of the Ferraris out there, the number 55. And just as I say that, Ario does go fastest for now, sits on top at this stage. Tom Van Rompuy, you can see in the middle sector, it was a personal best, but he just lost a bit of time compared to the ultimate fastest lap time, but crosses the line to do it. He's a 1/10.5 up.
Yeah, that's impressive. Our first poleman ever in LMGT3 in the World Endurance Championship. And they don't race LMGT3 ever, so he's history's first LMGT3 poleman. Claimed that in Qatar. This would be a great place for Corvette to take a second pole.
Looking here at the form, though, of beyond the number 81 Corvette, looking behind on track at Acodis ASP. The Lexus going very well indeed here, could be a factor.
I think we're getting close to the crescendo. You just see the slide there through the penultimate corner, sure sign that the drivers are getting, well, extracting everything from the cars and the tyres right now, and a sure sign that just about we're getting to the drop-off of what those tyres are going to give. Everyone, you can see at the bottom of the screen, improving, apart from Cottingham's middle sector where it wasn't even a personal best, and the last sector as well, so losing time now. We're at that stage where the tyres are just starting to drop off.
Yeah, driving it a bit like one of his old historic cars with more sideways than perhaps the tyre wanted. Josh Cahill still in third place. Arnaud Robin for Acodis ASP. What about Sarah Bovey? She's up overall as well, so no improvement from Robin, remains in fifth.
The big drop-off has come in that third sector now for both McLarens and the Lexus. All were up and then lost that. Look, got Thomas Fleur.
Thomas Fleur's got a 10th in hand over Sarah Bovey's lap. So Sarah Bovey comes across the line, loses 7/10 in the final sector. The tyres are gone, and that's where you're going to find it. Thomas Fleur on the lock stops almost as he comes out of the final corner, and that will cost him a couple of tenths probably. Is he going to be close? 8th place. And he comes across the line in a moment. Doesn't look like an improvement. There's the timing line. So 9th place.
They're all losing around about half a second or 6/10, aren't they? And just that final sector alone. And that's really where you need that mechanical grip from the tyres. And the tyres, just as I saw that slide from McLaren, I was thinking, this looks like they're starting to overcook.
Look at Cahill.
Yeah, there is one car in the last 2 laps that's improved on their best time in the final sector. That's Hiroshi Kazumi in the number 82 Corvette. At the moment, it's the Team 81 car that is on provisional pole position.
And Cahill, we're watching the Corvette here, but Cahill, car 95, just coming out of the final corner, I can see on the circuit map. Here he is, we pick him up now as he comes towards the line. Can he improve in the final sector or not?
Nearly a quarter second up at the end of Sector 2. Did he survive Sector 3 with momentum? Doesn't look like it, no. So he lost half a second there. Arnaud Robin in the Lexus lost more, 6/10 lost.
And track limits for that lap. It's about Francois Ario here of the cars that are at the top of the timing scoring, but there's a group of 3, and here they come. Ario, Bovey,
Sarah Bovey first.
and Kazumi.
Bovey across the line goes up to 4th. Ario takes pole for the moment. Last chance for 77 coming across the line. Ryan Hardwick doesn't get it, but that is very likely with 30 seconds remaining, unless somebody's got a Hail Mary, that is very likely to be Ferrari's first pole of the season. and of LMGT3.
The other car out there that is going very quickly at the moment. Sarabovi's got another lap here. Hiroshi Kazumi dropped a bit of time again in Sector 3, improved to 7th. Thought he might have done better there, but Sarabovi out there is the one last flying opportunity to get anywhere close to Francois Heriot. As the Checo flag comes out and as the cars cross the line, this time it will be session over.
Well, at the moment, it is the Vista AF Corsa 55 Ferrari. Sarabovi 78 thousandths down in the first sector. Don't forget, on her last best lap, she was a quarter second up at the end of Sector 2. That's the turn 10 hairpin, and she's not going to do it. And this, I think, probably will be her heading for the pit lane.
Yeah, not quite enough, is it? Just as she started the third and final sector. But what a lap from Francois Heriot to hold that together through that final sector while everyone else was dropping time. He did drop time, but it wasn't quite enough to not complete the lap and to get, for now, pole position. But I suspect he's going to keep it as Sarabovi now heads towards the line. Not a great middle sector. How about this final one? Any
chance of moving up from row 2 onto row 1? No, that's not happening, is it? So it is Francois Heriot who follows her across the line, shadowing her all the way, who takes a major milestone for Ferrari, their first LMGT3 pole for the 296. This car, of course, a major winner already, won the Nürburgring 24 Hours in the GT3 category last season in its first full season of racing. But here, that's monstrous. And the front row separated from row 2 by nearly a quarter of a second, but just 82 thousandths, stopping Tom van Rompuy taking pole in the Corvette.
2 laps, good enough for pole position that was from Heriot. At the end, he finished under under a tenth down, as almost matching, equal to his lap time that he had set.
6 thousandths slower on his last lap.
That was extraordinary stuff from Francois Heriot. The other point to make here, we were talking, if you recall, about the gap to get into the top 10 coming down from 1.1, 1.2 seconds to 0.8 seconds. 0.8 seconds covered that top 10. That's what this format does for these bronze drivers. It compresses this field, it sets the bar, and they up their game to meet it.
That was brilliant stuff. Heriot, well, I mean, hats off to him. That was quality driving. I think he was helped a little bit by the slipstream as well from Sarabovi. I'm sure she didn't want to be giving that to one of her strongest competitors out there. But I do feel like he judged the gap brilliantly well. And that last run, particularly down the main straight, I'm sure he would have gained a good couple of tenths from that alone.
100%. And if he wasn't sure who was improving, why not go for it again? So, and a first ever pole in World Endurance for Francois Heriot as well. Not just in this category, not just in the new formula for this year, but ever. Tom van Rompuy starts on the outside, the front row of the grid. Josh Cahill, his best qualifying result, 3rd place for United Autosports. And Sarabovi starts on the outside of row 2 in the Iron Dames Lamborghini. Then James Cossingham in 5th place, ahead of Arnaud Robin in the better of the 2 Lexus. Then Hiroshi Koizumi 7th, Ian James 8th, Thomas Floor in 9th, and Ryan Hardwick rounds out the top 10. That's how they will start, but the Brucey bonus point goes to Vista AF Corsa and Francois Heriot.
It's 5 different makes of LMGT3 car in the top 6. Extraordinary stuff once again. And this is how this class is evolving. That's a very happy Frenchman indeed. Well done, Francois.
Yeah, superb stuff. First ever pole in World Endurance for him. That's just an impressive place to come and do it as well, because Anthony, you said, you know, it is so hard to keep the speed up in that final sector when you've asked everything of the tyres in Sector 1 and Sector 2 already.
Well, this circuit throws everything at you. It really does. You got the high speed of turn 3, turn 4. You got to carry the speed there, but keep it controlled. You got the heavy braking zones as well, keeping the car clean through that final sector. So, like I said, not just to do it once, he is twice good enough for pole position. So that's a sign of dominance. You can see what it means to him.
And to his team and to his teammates. It's been a bit of a dry spell for AF Corsa, not having anything on the front row of the grid this season. They are back where they have spent so much time racing in GTE Pro and GTE Am over the last few seasons. And actually, on the other side of the championship standings for Manthai Pure Racing, they didn't get through, nor did their closest rivals, and the point for pole goes to somebody who's not a title contender, which means that Manthai Pure Racing don't get it, but critically, nobody closes on them here in qualifying either, who's going to be a long-term threat. So you've got to take the positives out of everything, and there's James Cottingham looking like he's worked hard for that fifth position for United Autosports, and Josh Cagle, I'm sure him and his dad will be absolutely cock-a-hoop at qualifying in the top 3 for the first time in the United McLaren. But there's a happy man and a happy team. Francois Heriot, he is our hyperpole sitter in LMGT3. Well, the man who came closest, just 6 thousandths behind him, was Tom van Rompuy. So we'll hear from him in the 81 Corvette team.
Tom, a very good qualifying, very tight, only 800s between you and the pole sitter. Very well done, and how does it look like for tomorrow?
Thank you. Yeah, very good starting position. Really big thanks to the team to keep on working on the setup and to give me a really good car. It felt really good, felt good in the lap. As you said, it's really tight, but I think we're on the front row, so good position to start for tomorrow, and hopefully we can gain one more.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck then.
Thank you.
That's very much the Antonio Felix da Costa attitude, isn't it? I've got 6 hours to pass one car. There's my job. And he's absolutely right. Well, here we go. This is the way that Hyperpole finished. First pole for Vista AF Corsa, the number 55 Ferrari, ahead of the 81 TF Sport Corvette. Row 2, United Autosports 95 McLaren and the Iron Dames 85 Lamborghini. United Autosports in row 3 as well. A strong qualifying for McLaren and United Autosports as a team. Cars getting ready to head out into qualifying in Hypercar. These 18 cars, purpose-built prototypes, and with the opportunity to choose whichever driver in their lineup they wish to do. So some will already have chosen at the beginning of the season potentially their drivers, but certainly they will have planned all weekend who is going to do the quick laps here. Let's hear from the number 8 Toyota team.
I have a track temp of 40, but that's when it was sunny, so that would be equal to FP3. Now it's clouded over a little bit. I think it's probably a couple degrees lower. At the moment, actually, the wind is the opposite direction to all sessions so far. It's a light wind, but I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, I can see the flag is more like tailwind direction, so maybe that's what you get.
No, that's what I mean. Huh? Oh yeah, that's true actually. Switch back now. So it's a bit variable. I'll let you know, try to let you know going into the ground.
Okay, mate, copy.
Yeah, vital bit of information to the drivers, talking about the wind direction, but then the drivers correcting the engineer who spotted them on the data. Classic engineering, you look at the data and not the actual, what the weather's really doing, and the driver's quick to point out, actually, the flag's in the same position as it was earlier on.
In the hypercar category, they have a choice, potentially, of 3 different tyres. The soft, the medium, and the hard. The medium and the hard, Michelin have brought here, and everybody will use the softer of the compounds. No wet weather tyres yet.
1 minute, under 1 minute to the start of the hypercar qualifying session. Under 1 minute.
18 cars, cold, on cold tyres. We'll do a couple of laps to warm their tyres up and then all try and set a time to get them through into Hyperpole. They've got 12 minutes to get into the top 10.
So Kamui Kobayashi sitting there as your man in car number 7, designated for the designated driver for qualifying.
30 seconds to the start of the hypercar qualifying session. Fifteen seconds to the start of the session. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit is open. Pit exit is open. This is the hypercar qualifying session.
Qualifying for hypercars gets underway here at Fuji Speedway for round 7 of 8 of the FIA World Endurance Championship. 12 minutes. One realistic opportunity to grab a position in the top 10 and progress to hyperpole, and then from there maybe to shoot out for pole position. Toyota have been there or thereabouts through the free practice sessions, but this is where they really have to step up. They've got an enviable reputation here. Only once in World Endurance Racing have they been beaten on their home track, and that was by Porsche's 919 Hybrid. So, starting at the front in these cars that are so even in terms of performance, Anthony Davidson, is definitely a big advantage.
I think starting at the front is, they can get themselves, they're obviously they're further down the pit lane, and as the championship winners from last season, they have that entitlement that they can choose where their pit garage is as the champions. So it might serve them very well here in Fuji. You get that nice clear air in front of you. These cars we saw in Cota even just 2 weeks ago, they do suffer a bit of turbulent air from the car in front. So yeah, Toyota choosing to get out there ahead of the pack. Kobayashi here now working his way through that penultimate corner, and probably see a couple of laps around this track. 2 to 3, there might be 2 warm-up laps involved, then a push lap, then a cool lap, then another push lap. It's what we saw in Austin.
Well, we're waiting for these cars to get up to temperature. Who's out there for this qualifying session? The number 2 Cadillac fields Alex Lynn here at Fuji Speedway. Matt Campbell and Kevin Estra in the 5 and the 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport cars. Remember, they had such a great race here last season to launch them into their 2024 form. Kamui Kobayashi we've already seen and heard in the number 7 Toyota. In the number 8 car, it's Ryo Hirakawa. Norman Nato aboard the number 12 Hertz Team Jota car. The 2 BMWs, the 15 in the hands of Dries van Tor, Robin Freins in the number 20 for BMW Team WRT. 2 Alpines, again on great form in Cota. Charles Malaysia in the 35-36 with Mathieu Vazevier. The 38 Hertz Team Jota Porsche in the hands of Oliver Rasmussen. Then the 2 factory Ferrari AF Corsa 499Ps, Antonio Fuoco and Antonio Giovinazzi. Danny Kvyat is aboard the 63 Lamborghini. The winner last time out, the privateer AF Corsa Ferrari number 83 in the hands of Robert Kubica. 2 Peugeots, Mikkel Jensen and Noik de Val, the 93 and the 94 respectively. And rounding out the field numerically, Proton Competitions 99 privateer Porsche in the hands of the Mercurial Julian Adler.
Don't forget, if you want to find out what the teams think of what they're seeing on track, you can see that in full access, which will be out from Fuji in about 12 days after the race. And the full access from Austin, the last race of the series that we were at just 2 weeks ago, has just dropped. So after qualifying and before tomorrow's race, not only can you watch the whole of the Austin race, but you can catch up with what the teams thought as well in full access. So an opportunity to just lift the veil and see behind the scenes. Our drivers all out there and building up to speed. And Anthony Davidson really having to build up to speed just the same as in LMGT3, carefully and with consideration for your tyres, because if you mistreat them, it is going to come back and haunt you when you really need them badly.
So in this category, in the hypercar category, you can indeed have severe lockups. You don't have ABS systems in place on these cars. You do have traction control, but you've got a bit of a stiffer construction of tyre to withstand the higher downforce that these cars will give, more downforce naturally than the GT category that we have here. So the tyre needs to be more robust, therefore takes longer to warm up.
Dries van Tor, Robin Freins in the struggling BMW hypercars. They have been down towards the bottom of the timing screens pretty much throughout the series, whereas in Austin they were right at the top. End of FP3 they were 15th and 18th
But they topped FP2 here and have been right up there on pace, except for that rather odd FP3 session. It was red flag with 20 minutes to go.
Well, they never used new tyres, so I'm thinking that they were trying to work on their long-term life of their tyres, which has been the problem for all new teams coming into hypercar, is discovering how to stretch the window on the medium tyre for as long as they can. The BMWs have worked with using hard tyres on the rear and medium on the front, and then they went to just the right-hand rear tyre as a hard tyre. So they're trying all sorts of combinations. Now again, look at the timing pylon on the left-hand side. 18 cars on track, and when the checkered flag comes out, only the fastest 10 progress to hyperpole. So it is all about getting in that top 10, not necessarily setting the outright fastest lap.
Beginning to get towards that window, and the first getting down towards a reasonable time. It was actually one of the last cars out of the pits for this session. Robin Frines into the 132, so 132.857. The session should be very considerably quicker than that, but we're beginning, and Davidson, to start to see representative sectors, if not yet full laps.
Yeah, so we were in the 1 minute 27s last year. Fastest lap on the board at the moment is a 1:32, so you can see how they're taking their time to get up to speed. But any moment now, we're going to start seeing a lot of purple sectors out there. We're going to start seeing some much more competitive lap times, closer to what we possibly saw from last year. Sorry, Martin, as we ride on board now with Alex Lynn down towards turn 1. So he lost half a second just in that final sector, probably preparing the next lap. So turn 1, a real important corner to nail the braking zone. It's downhill, as we heard, a bit of a tailwind as well into that corner, as reported by the Toyota car crew, number 8 of Hirakawa.
Flying lap from Kevin Esch, Matt Campbell on a push lap as well in the Porsches. Campbell the only two-time pole sitter so far. Esch at the top of the pile. And Ryo Hirakawa and Kamui Kobayashi both looking at least as quick in their Toyotas. Hirakawa goes second, Kamui goes second, so just a fraction quicker than his teammate, but both Toyotas in there swinging. It's Porsche, Toyota, Toyota, Porsche, and 36 Alpine, which again has been quick in the hands of Mathieu Vaxivière. He's 5th.
Yep, it's 3 cars now into the 129s, headed by championship-leading number 6 Porsche, the car that did so well last year, was still at the top of the show. He's got at the moment under 2 tenths ahead of the first of the 2 Toyotas, which are line astern. Now into the 129s, Fuoco, the number 50 Ferrari as well. He goes 4th.
Well, both Ferraris, 50 and 51, have had a pole position this season. The number 6 Porsche has had 2. Cadillac have come close twice and started on the front row in the last 4 races. But Alex Lynn is not in the window at the moment. Now he is 3rd fastest. And Julian Andlauer in this car, the 99 Proton Porsche. This is going to put him very firmly into the top 10. So another strong lap from Andlauer, one of the stars of Spa in this car, and that is good enough to put him 2nd.
So yeah, of course, keep an eye, same as the LMGT3 category before Hyperpole, we have this knockout round, the top 10. You can kind of ignore them apart from 9th and 10th because they're on the cusp. The Lamborghini goes 9th. Keep an eye though on that left-hand side of the screen from 11th downwards. They're the cars that need to improve their lap time, and look how close it is. Top 14 covered by less than a second.
Well, the top 10 covered by under half a second, so if you're 3/4 of a second out, like our winners last time out, the yellow 83 Ferrari, you need to find half a second just to have your money on the table.
Both Peugeots at the moment still down in that underneath the bottom, the top 10, so they've got work to do. One of the BMWs as well, car 20, they're right down in last in 18th position, and Danny Kvyat improving as we see on screen here in the 2nd sector.
And Alex Lynn looking sharp again in the Cadillac. That car really seems to work nicely in qualifying. They just missed out on pole in Cota. But this looks like another lap to keep him in that top 10. And Graham, you have to keep improving because the ball is moving the whole time.
Yeah, Lynn goes to the top with a 129.090. Excellent lap from Alex Lynn there. It is improving all the time, and the cars that need to now improve with under 3 minutes to go include 2 of the 3 Ferraris, the 51 and the 83, are outside the bubble. So too are both of the Hertz Team Toyota Porsches. Wouldn't have expected that. both Peugeots, one Alpine and one BMW.
I saw Danny Kvyat really fighting the Lamborghini just before this corner, and then turn 15 all gets away from him and he goes off the circuit. So you want to minimise mistakes like that. He's currently in 10th position. He's going to need more though, because others are improving behind him.
The number 20 BMW has pulled itself up from the back of the pack, but missed the top 10 by 3 thousandths of a second. So they're going to have to find more. What about Robert Kubica? What about Antonio Fuoco? Fuoco at the moment in 9th place. Kubica down to 14th and sliding all over the curbs.
Kobayashi pits from 4th. That will be his session done. Here's the 83 car. Remember, winner last time out in Texas, with Robert Kubica fielded for this qualifying session.
And of course, the tyres have that finite grip level. It's going to run out soon, and is it going to be enough for Robert Kubica as he exits the final corner? He's half a second out. It's a personal best for him in both the first 2 sectors, but I don't think it's going to be enough, guys.
Unless you're within half a second at the end of Sector 2, you're not getting there, are you? Because 6,300's back, 7,300's back, not enough.
13th, not good enough for the number 83 car. Is there anything left for the 83?
I think Antonio Fuoco just improved in the 50 Ferrari and moved up ahead of Toyota number 8. But the Lamborghini is still clinging in there in the top 10. And yeah, they've pitted Kamui Kobayashi. The gamble is that none of the 8 remaining cars that are outside the top 10, 7 would have to improve by more than half a second to push the Toyota out. So that's a pretty fair bet.
So it's a very important lap here for Antonio Giovinazzi. He was mighty in qualifying in Cota. But is it going to be enough here as he tackles the middle sector? He's within a shout here in P12 at the moment, just 2.5 tenths away in that second sector.
But he's less than a tenth out of the bubble, and that's the key point here. This is not, remember, if you're listening and watching, about pole position, it's about the top 10. And at the moment, 2 of those 3 Ferraris are not in that session.
Really nice and clean through the last 2 corners. There's no more he could have done from what I saw.
He only needs to be 700ths quicker than his previous best, and he's in the top 10. And as he comes to the line, it's a long wait. He crosses the line. Is it enough? It is not enough. He needed an improvement and did not find it. Hertz Team Jota, car number 12, by the way, mathematically were championship contenders before qualifying. They are no longer championship contenders. They needed every point available. 83 does not improve. That's it. There's not much left in the tyres, is there?
There is one possible improvement here. We've had 2, because Antonio Giovinazzi has gone through. It is only the first sector. We need to see just whether or not he's got any life left in these tyres. I don't think he can, but we've got those 2 Ferraris and 1 Alpine still piling on the pressure to try to make this top 10 at the end of this session, Anne.
You often see an improvement in the first sector. It's only made up of 1 corner, 1 braking zone through turn 1, and then you get to the end of that first sector after this very corner here that we're looking at on screen now at car 38. And but Giovinazzi, he's still there. It's a better lap than he was last lap. He's now got to try all he can. I didn't see anything wrong with it last time around. I just think he's running out of grip in this final sector, or the car just hasn't got it.
Well, he could still lose half a second in the final sector and be in. Robert Kubica can't lose half a hundredth in the final sector and be in. Is Giovinazzi going to make the top 10? Very close indeed. And actually their sister car, number 50, who are championship contenders, could do with this car being near them. It's not enough. 6,800's back.
Lamborghini beat Ferrari to that final position, and that is going to be one that will cause glum faces in the garage this evening.
Wow, I would never have expected that. The Ferrari, well, 2 of the 3 not having the speed, but both Peugeots as well out. They're down in 14th and 18th position.
And Hertz Team Jota, 16th and 17th. 1 BMW makes it through, the other one misses by 3 thousandths of a second, but Lamborghini makes hyperpole for the first time.
And of course, we have the balance of performance in this category, but there's no balance of performance between the cars you see on screen here and the Jota, the Hertz Team Jota cars, and also the number 99 Proton competition car. They're all Porsches, so hats off to the Works team for getting both of their cars through there.
Hats off as well to Proton competition. 3rd quickest there was Julian Andlauer, and beating both of the Hertz Team Jota cars out of the hyperpole session.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of head scratching going on, I'm sure, down at Cota. That's not good news for them, but of course tomorrow is another day.
Again, the Cadillac Racing team will hope. They have been so close to being on pole position almost everywhere this season. They go through, the top 10 go through. So out are the number 20 BMW, 51 and 83 Ferraris, both Peugeots, both Hertz Team Jota cars, and the 36 Alpine, and the sister car 35 did get through. But this is the car that was quickest. Alex Lynn, is this going to be it? They've got 2 more chances this season to try and grab pole position. They're not championship contenders any longer. They were earlier in the season, but now it's about winning races.
First hyperpole appearance for Lamborghini.
Their best qualifying position up until now has been a 13th, and they've had more 18th qualifying runs than anything else. So that's a dramatic change in fortunes.
Well, we saw a real turn in performance, didn't we, in Cota from the Lamborghini. There was a moment in the race where it didn't go their way. Obviously, they're still new and they're learning the World Endurance Championship, and they had a bit of bad luck, I think, through the race. But there was a moment where we saw them in front of the leading pack about to get lapped. And they held their own. They were doing the same lap times as the leaders. And, well, they've come here and they've continued that speed.
And what a start. Went from 18th to 8th in the first couple of laps in Cota. I mean, there's no doubt that there's a lot of pride in that team and a lot of determination.
Yeah, Edo Mortara, one of the drivers of the race, certainly in Cota with that early race performance. Well, here we go. It is 10 minutes now to go for the hyperpole. Going to go down to speak to Robert Kubica and find out what went wrong with the 83's qualifying session with Bruce.
Robert, I want to say what went wrong here, but it's so tight. I mean, 7/10 isn't much. Are you going to work your magic and do a fantastic start again? What can we expect for tomorrow?
Well, it's yeah, a bit disappointing, but I don't know what happened straight away out of the box. We didn't have a grip like, for example, yesterday. So yeah, we will have to see what's going on and the reason, because it's quite yeah. When you feel the lack of grip, it's quite annoying. I try my best, but yeah, I did get also a bit of traffic in turn 6. Probably I could be in without it, but that's how it is.
The guys at the front managed to do their lap on lap 2 very early, and you could carry on and push a bit longer than them. The pace was better towards the end, but not straight at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, you try your best. I did some modification in the car to try to find the grip. We did work, but of course the juice of the tire was gone. So yeah, hindsight, when you know what happened and what you could do better, for sure is easier, but that's how it is.
Okay, good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, always a tricky one, knowing when to absolutely push the car and the tires to their limit, knowing when they're hot enough to press the go button. And it was a good spot there from Bruce that other teams were able to extract that performance much earlier on in the session. And Robert saying, yeah, in reflection, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Maybe we should have pushed a little bit earlier on the tyres. I kind of built them up perhaps a bit too slowly, or our plan as a team, we didn't quite nail it there. But I think it bodes well for them for tomorrow's race if that they had longevity in their tyres. They were doing their fastest laps at the end of the session. Surely in the long race for tomorrow, that has to be a good thing.
I think we've seen that quite a lot with Ferrari, that they don't light the tyre up very early, but they actually are quite kind on it. And that's been Toyota's issue in qualifying as well, is that it's got great longevity on the medium. They can do great things in the second stint with it that others can't, and don't see how they could. But it does slightly hamper them a bit for qualifying.
This discipline is a tough one, isn't it? It's not just about who's got the fastest car. It's whether or not you can deliver it at the point where you've got the car at its optimum without error.
And again, that team, they're of course a team brand new to the Ferrari 499P this season, so they've got no experience of it here.
1 minute, under 1 minute to the hypercar hyperpole qualifying session. Under 1 minute.
You can see the red indicator lights on the side of the car, by the way. The top 3 cars in each class will have 1 light illuminated if they're first, 2 if they're second, 3 if they're third. And that's the case predominantly for the race, but it also works in qualifying here. And so you can see there that the 99 car of Julian Andlauer, that Proton Porsche, was third.
30 seconds to the start of the session.
Somehow we try out, walk, walk, push, cool down, push.
Okay, can we? Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
So still the chat's going on about when to push the tyre. So Kamui saying, well, do out, 2 warm-up laps, and then a push, then a cool down, then a push.
Hyperpole is underway in Fuji for Hypercar. 10 cars, 10 minutes and counting, and a chance to claim the glory of starting on pole position and the extra point, which may have a significant difference in the gradual run towards the end of the championship. We're just 1 race away when we leave Japan from our final championship tally, so this is going to be as critical as any other qualifying session.
Yep, just over 6 tenths separated these 10 cars in that qualifying session. 2 Toyotas, 3 Porsches, including the privately entered Proton car, and 1 apiece from Cadillac, BMW, Alpine, Ferrari and Lamborghini. This could be quite a 10 minutes.
Good shots here. I know it's just a warm-up lap from Kamui Kobayashi, but I always like seeing how the drivers tackle it from inside the cockpit, and that onboard gives you a good demonstration of the driver at work. And although he's saying he's doing an outlap and 2 build-up laps, he's pushing it, looks like, a lot more, a lot earlier than he was able to last time around.
Again, he's already up to speed. The car is hot, the brakes are hot, so he hasn't got cold grabby brakes, so the brakes are where he wants them to be, and he's trying to build that speed early in the time. But he did say outlap plus 2 warm laps before he's going to push, so let's see how that works. Maybe that's just to lead the others astray because they know everybody's listening.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was pushing pretty hard there as his team crew watches on. There's a lot of experience there between that trio. Nick de Vries, obviously teammates with Kamui in car 7, and Mike Conway, of course. And then you've got Alexander Wirtz and Kazuki Nakajima, who Kazuki really knows his way around this track.
We can see number 7 Toyota weaving. Kamui Kobayashi still trying to build heat in the tyre. And he will have used a couple of places, Anthony, I'm sure, to just lean on it and see where the grip level is in this first warming lap.
Just trying to see so you can pick up the body language of how the driver's driving the car. And he's always really aggressive on the upshift paddle. You see his right finger there, just tapping the upshift paddle. He's always super aggressive. A joy to watch is Kamui when it comes to qualifying. He seems to be able to extract every ounce of performance usually from those tyres and know when to push. So he's got a good read on it, relaying to his engineer when he feels ready to push. So that's driver completely leading the team there, which I love to see.
And Kamui in one of the Toyotas, Ryo Hirokawa in the other.
Okay, can we target temp in turn 1 will be then 65 this lap. Target temp for turn 1, 65.
So yeah, talking
63 now, 63 now, 63, so should be okay.
Copy, Kamui, we are on target. And tire 1.
So yeah, making last-minute controls changes based on where the tyre temperature is. So that's brilliant guidance, F1 style, you'd have to say, from Toyota there. Really looking into the details. A beautiful demonstration of driver and engineering team behind him getting the performance where they need it. And Kamui thinking, yeah, I'm reading real-time data here from the tyre temperature. Team relaying, we feel like the tyre's going to be ready at this temperature to push. Let's open this lap.
And yet, did you see Dries Vanthoor then having a little bit of oversteery correction, whereas Kamui looked like he was just so on top of the car. It wasn't sliding, it wasn't moving. The BMW definitely is.
Not yet at the point where we're going for, we're on now, their first push laps, really.
Well, here we are. You can see at the bottom of your screen now 1.2 seconds up for Kamui Kobayashi, 3 seconds up by the time he gets to the middle sector. So exactly what we just heard, real time, he is on an absolute push lap now.
Yeah, that's going to bring this down to around the 1:30 mark at this kind of pace.
So it's not following their original plan of 2 warm-up laps. He felt, along with the engineer, that the tyre was ready now. This could be the absolute golden ticket for Kobayashi's side of the garage there in Toyota.
And with Ryo Hirakawa in the other car, Toyota Gazoo Racing giving themselves the best shot at a Japanese driver in a Japanese car on pole in Japan. Kamui, a 29.065.
Strong.
Blistering third sector as well. Picked up a lot more.
And in absolute contrast, you see here still Andlauer way off the pace by the middle set, not pushing the car at all. Very different strategies going on here between the Porsche platform car, and now you can see the speed, the energy increases through the final corner. This will be his push lap. So different strategies going on there between different teams, different drivers. I love it.
And we've seen that go really well and really badly so far this season. This is going to be a real cat and mouse last 4.5 minutes in hyperpole.
Alex Lynn is pushing as we ride on board here with the Cadillac, but he's only 6/10 down by that second sector. Winds it through the penultimate corner.
Cadillac looking to finish this season very strongly. Matt Campbell is on an absolute flyer here, though, as are Antonio Fuoco and Ryo Hirakawa. They're ones to watch too.
Yeah, it's all about to happen now. Sorry, Master, it's all happening. Is Matt Campbell. You can see the bottom of the screen. Fastest sector of all, 1.5 tenths up on Kamui's fastest lap, and lost a bit of time there. He's down by the middle sector. That's just popped up as we now look at car number 6. This is Estra through turn 15, championship leader, of course.
Alex Lynn comes through second quickest, 1:30.2, but that's 1.2 seconds away from Kamui Kobayashi.
Right, I'm not wondering what's happening with the Cadillac or what's happening with the Porsche. Where's Ryo Hirakawa in the other Toyota?
There he is.
Coming across, Campbell coming across the line.
Hirakawa, bottom right of your screen. He's up as well.
Estra goes second, but Hirakawa has taken an extra lap to bring that heat into the Toyota. So we can compare directly as he goes top of the pile where the two Toyota strategies play out.
So 1:28.942 for Ryo Hirakawa to give a Toyota 1-2 Ant.
Yeah, great lap there from Hirakawa. Could that be pole position? 3 minutes still remaining. Andlauer's close by the middle sector, but not enough by the time he gets to the final sector. This is him on board now, just finishing that lap.
And took a lot longer to bring the tyres in, and as he started to turn into turn 1 there, the car didn't like it. He had to gather it all up. What about Charles Milesi in the Alpine? This is very close, isn't it? 2100, look, 2 thousandths off third. Alex Lynn in the Caddy. When he came across the line the last time, he was 4th. He's now 9th, or nearly last, as he probably would not prefer to call it. Here he comes, looking for what, their 5th consecutive top 4 start.
Lost too much time in the final sector, but Kobayashi's back on it, and we're back with him as we ride on board now momentarily. Out of that final corner, he's up by the middle sector, but it's oh so close between the two Toyotas. I think this is what it's going to boil down to.
Of course, he is the team boss, so any pole for Toyota would be great news, but if it was him, it would be greater news. Doesn't get it.
Oh, not quite enough for Kobayashi, a 10.5 down.
And this is fascinating because the two team cars run different strategies. Who's got it right and who's got it wrong?
Well, at the moment, number 8 have got it right because Kamui couldn't improve on that lap, and that's possibly the end of his tyres. Ryo might have a little bit left, but he doesn't necessarily need it. So the number 6 Porsche, our championship leaders, at the moment are going to start in the top 3. And the number 8 car comes across the line, no improvement at 38.254.
Well, that was a cool-down lap, of course. So that's Ryo just starting one and his final attempt at a push lap there with 1.5 minutes to go.
But Kamui doesn't have that leeway, does he? Alex Lynn is up, so maybe his last lap was a cool-down lap as well.
Yeah, and it is going to be about how much this final sector kills that lap for Alex Lynn. Will it, won't it? We're about to see.
There's so much lap time in that final sector. We're in there for a long, long time. What's it going to be as Lynn comes up to the line, though? It's pole for now.
For now. Dries Vanthoor just went up from 9th to 3rd, and Alex Lynn 10th to 2nd. It's down to the two Toyota drivers. Who has got what left? Wow, that was mighty from Alex Lynn. Ryo Hirakawa, quarter of a second back. What about Antonio Fuoco? Is this going to be a shock to the system from number 50 Ferrari? That is their remaining car in championship contention.
Keeping an eye while we're watching these times on screen as well of what's going on with the BMW. Dries van Toor is up to 4th place and going very quickly.
I don't think it's going to be
Sector 1 for Dries van Toor, fastest of all.
I don't think it's going to be enough for Hirakawa here. He dropped too much in that second sector. What's it, the third sector going to be? It's almost 4 tenths away, so not enough for him. But Alex Lynn, what a phenomenal lap in that number 2 caddy. It's not over yet.
Dries van Toor could join the caddy on the front row at the moment. It's only 41 thousandths first to second. 41 thousandths of a second, that's insane. Dries van Toor, probably not row 1, could be row 2. Well, he's already on row 2. Can he split the Toyotas? Number 7's already pitted. Kamui Kobayashi had used all his rubber. Dries van Toor, where does he come across the line? He is in 3rd place. He does split the Toyotas. That's a mighty, mighty effort. This 15 team has consistently been the quicker of the two. And Matty Campbell, the man who claimed the first pole of the season in Hypercar, and Antonio Fuoco in the 50 Ferrari are both still up.
They're worth a watch. We have seen some of these lap times tumble, but Ant?
He just slid a little bit there. Well, that was Estra sliding around through the penultimate corner. Looks like the rear's just getting away from him a little bit there. Remember, Matt Campbell's further back than the car we watch on screen now.
Already 3200s back. Kevin Estra will be the first of these 3 remaining cars. In fact, there are 5 remaining cars to come across the line. We're tracking 3 of them. The last man to take the checker will be Ryo Hirakawa. So Estra is out of the frame. What about Matty Campbell? 3200s back.
Not enough.
Not enough. And Antonio Fuoco half a second back as he got to the turn 12 for a 10-turn hairpin.
They know it. They know it. What a lap. What a performance. I bumped into Alex Lynn on the first day when we were here. Said, what about this track for you, mate? And he said, yeah, our car suits the higher speed corners, you know, not like this circuit.
Is it the lucky duck? I don't know. Is that a thing? Alex Lynn, well, in the blue shirt, Laura Wontrop-Klauser, the head of GM Racing, from Le Mans onwards, in fact, actually from Spa onwards, has crossed everything. Every time this car has qualified from Spa onwards, it's been a genuine pole position contender. And finally, here in Japan, they pushed Toyota off pole and claim their first pole of the World Endurance Championship.
Alex, we have him, pole position. There's 1 on the lap, but he's half a second slower so far, sector 2.
What a moment for Alex Lynn, what a moment for the entire Cadillac Racing squad. And that, by the way, for a team, a proudly American mark, but an international crew in that garage. That's a result today that will go around the world.
And don't forget, when they were at Le Mans, they were on pole with Sebastian Bourdais' number 3 car until the dying seconds of hyperpole, and there was 1 lap. And it was, and that, you know, of all the places, and of all the people in all the cars in all the places, Bourdais, a man from Le Mans, to take pole for Cadillac at Le Mans would have been a historic moment. But it's Alex Lynn who shoves the Toyota of Ryo Hirakawa out of the way by a staggering 41 thousandths of a second. At the speed they crossed the line, that's probably the length of the car.
Yeah, 4th they qualified in Sao Paulo, 3rd in Cota, 2nd at Spa, now pole position here in Japan. Excellent stuff.
There you go. That's going to be a very happy bunny. He was very relaxed when we were chatting to him yesterday, Graham, just really up for this. And the results are there. You can see our full access crew are right there, so there will be plenty about this from behind the scenes. Reaction from him and in the garage, I'm sure, because this is a big moment for Cadillac. This program and GM's Corvette LMGT3 program are very, very important. And the boss, the woman who wears the cap, who controls all of this in the blue shirt, Laura Wontrop-Klauser, brought this program last year, told us how important it is for the brand. And there you go. The first pole position And in the land of the rising sun, they defeat Toyota in the battle to start at the sharp end.
And qualifying is important now in hypercar. For all of those you thinking, yeah, but a 6-hour race tomorrow, it's a long, you know, anything can happen there. Yeah, it can, but we're seeing in these races now, it's so competitive, so tightly packed, that overtaking is becoming an absolute premium. So getting your car on pole position, brilliant stuff for Cadillac. They can run with this.
They absolutely can. They tend to be one of those ones that just sits in that ether between the teams that are winning the races and the teams that we talk about coming up the order. They've been there and thereabouts. They just now need to convert it. While we look at a delighted Alex Lynn, we'll just mark one other moment that is confirmed by qualifying here, which is one car now out of the prospect of winning the World Championship is the 12 Hertz Team Cota. They needed that point to mathematically stay in it. They can no longer win the Drivers' World Championship.
Yep, so we're down to 5 contending teams. Not all of 3 drivers, because don't forget Mike Conway was forced to miss Le Mans after a cycling accident. That means if the number 7 Toyota crew wins the title, he won't be a world champion with them. But Alex Lynn right now, is there a better feeling, Anthony? Winning the race, yes, but that is just him head-to-head, mano-a-mano against the others.
Exactly.
About the same gap. There was someone like on a 9, 8, 9. So it was like you, Toyota, BMW. Toyota for a while. That was a nice lap. Yeah, it was good.
And it was a nice lap. Brilliant and
Well,
great.
it was quite a lot of traffic as well. It wasn't ideal, huh? No. The prep was crap because BMW came out in front of you. I know. And then you had a really good lap and then you had to bail it. I know. I wish I hadn't bailed because it was better than that. Yeah. That's good.
And that's the one that we thought looked good, and he had to bail out on it in traffic. Well, the Essex boy done good. He is on pole here in Japan.
And we're here at the bottom of the podium at the end of the hyperpole of the hypercars. But with you guys in GT3, François, a fantastic lap and the first pole position in GT3s for Ferrari. You must be feeling delighted.
Yeah, I'm really happy for the team. From the beginning of the year, we showed a good pace, and we were quite unlucky sometimes, but this feels like not really a win, but it's a very good result for the team, and I'm really happy to offer this to the team.
Yeah, it is deserved. Simon, a little word. You must be super happy and pumped for tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. François did a fantastic job. The team did a fantastic job, and it's a good boost for tomorrow.
Alessio, final word for you, for Italy and for Ferrari. First time in pole position in GT3s. How proud are you?
Yeah, for sure. It's a special event. A really good job to François and to all the team, because the car is amazing for all the weekend, and tomorrow is the biggest target.
Fantastic. Congratulations. It's time to celebrate. So maybe we could bring the nice medals that are brought by the title sponsor of the series, which is Rolex, and Pierre Fillon, the CEO of the WEC, that is offering that beautiful medal to François Heriot, who brought that Ferrari GT3 to pole position in the hyperpole for the first time. Yeah, big round of applause. Thank you so much. Great achievement. Time for the picture. Thank you so much, guys. Please this way, and it's time for the hyperpole of our superstar drivers that are actually only 2 guys sharing that beautiful Cadillac. Alex and Earl, please come this way. Come join us. Congratulations. Alex, please come here, guys. Earl, hi. What a lap! Yeah. How do you feel about that one? It was amazing to watch. We saw you explode of happiness at the end. How does it feel?
It feels so good. Honestly, we've tried so hard all year. I have to say this car is amazing on one lap. Massive congrats to Cadillac. This, you would have loved it driving it on low fuel. It's a really, really lovely car. And I just wanted to give the team a pole position this year, and we came so close so many times. And yeah, so proud to have finally done it.
Yeah, congratulations, it was beautiful to watch. Earl, not too jealous to have been driving the car in quali this time?
No, I mean, Alex has been doing a fantastic job for the last 18 months in quali. I think there's a crazy stat that we're the only car that always starts in the top 4. So, you know, he's put us in the best possible position tomorrow. I'm going to take the start and hopefully we can get through turn 1 and then start a good race. But it's been building with this program. You know, we've been working really, really hard, chipping away at really the details, and, you know, we're slowly getting into the window. Cota was a great race for us, so hopefully we can continue that momentum.
Do you think it's an advantage to be sharing the car only the 2 of you compared to 3, or is it difficult because of the temperature?
I mean, we always say we think it's an advantage. You know, we get a lot more track time during the weekend, the preparation. Obviously, we have a disadvantage with track limits. That's a clear disadvantage, but I guess that's our own choice and decision to have only 2 drivers. Cota was really tough, but we survived it. I think we both did a good job. So tomorrow's going to be a humid one, but I think we can manage it.
And you can celebrate for now, today, that beautiful pole position. And again, we can bring the trophies. Pierre, the president of the ACO, Mr. Pierre Fillon, again bringing the trophies offered by Rolex, the title sponsor of the series. That goes to Alex Lynn, who's sweating a little bit, and we can understand that was an amazing lap, and Earl Bamber as well. Time for a picture to celebrate that beautiful lap and pole position. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us. The race starts at 11 tomorrow, so be there, but we'll be there before then, around 10 o'clock live. Great to see you here in Fuji tomorrow. Bye-bye.